how would you like to make your first million? And today we have an investor with us, and his name is Roger Conrad, and he has a have a lot of years of experience in the arena, and we can say that is we can call it a sophisticated investor, someone that have enough experience and have done a lot of jobs in the financial environment, even managing funds. So, Roger, tell us, what are the 5 steps that you recommend entrepreneurs in order to make the first million?
Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and wisdom of how they sold their first million.
Okay, well, first off, have something that you really enjoy doing, because you're going to be doing a lot of it. I think that's kind of axiomatic, right? I mean, you wouldn't start a business in something that you didn't enjoy. But, if you enjoy it, then you're going to be kind of a happy warrior. I think number two, have kind of a clear focus of what your first steps are. And I won't sit here and tell you that I haven't made mistakes. And I think that's really number three, is just be prepared to make a lot of mistakes and to just pick up and go on from there. And it definitely helps you if you enjoy what it is you're doing. And what I've been doing in our business the last 13 years is providing investment advice. It's more or less what what I was doing before when I was working for other people, but it's something I've been hopefully getting a lot better at over the years. I think I have. And now I've gotten older, so I'm actually, it actually works very hand in glove with, my own financial goals, what I advise people. But, again, be prepared to make mistakes. Always think about the next step forward. Stay optimistic. You've got to stay up in the business that you're in. In the investment business, that's something happening all the time. And market structure changes, so people want their information a different way. For example, when we started, our business was mainly the kind of thing where we had email lists, or we had direct mail, so kind of captive audiences, and we'd send promotions out to them. Now the business is, I think, a lot more democratic. You don't have to have those types of things, but you do have to cut through in social media and so on, and there are various forums now. There's all kinds of tools you can use. Artificial intelligence is a good one if you're in, for someone in the information business. You don't get it to make up things for you, or to actually give your advice for you, or make up your advice for you, or your product, but it can really help you. It can leverage what you're doing. So become familiar with the various tools that are out there that can help your business, and just stick with it. If you're lucky, I mean, there are stories. I'm sure people have come on your program and told you about how they made instant dollars. But I mean, a business is kind of an up and down thing, and every business
And
has
you
its
have been
cycle.
in business for a long time, yeah?
Yeah, well, thankfully, yes. So we made it through a few hurdles. If you have partners also, you gotta work with them, and you gotta talk, and you gotta iron out when you have disagreements, and that can be difficult, but it is absolutely essential. I mean, if you're just working on yourself, I actually think having partners is a good thing, because they can tend to check you on various things that maybe you're not doing right. And I personally can keep going on a track. I can keep going on a wrong track for a long time, because I'm kind of stubborn. And I think you do have to be stubborn to start a business and keep it going.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
but yeah,
Sometimes
it's
you
good
have
to
to get the
have other
feedback, yeah.
people. Yeah.
So, Roy, corporate versus build your own business. So, what message do you have for our listeners, that there are people that our listeners are entrepreneurs, people that want to be entrepreneurs, and also people that are in corporate that want to do the transition. And some people might be listening to you and say, wow, I wish I have the courage what Roy did, that he was doing for working for corporate. Like, for example, in your case, you get paid a lot of money for what you do. So why do you gonna get into a risk to have your own business, whether with your background? You guys get paid very well, and those funds and hedge funds, they make sure that you live comfortable because they want to attract the talent and they want you to work for them, and they make sure you are happy.
Right.
So why this transition, and what message do you have for the people that are on the fence listening this interview and they have an amazing corporate job, but they are feeling like they are in the in a golden cage. Sometimes it's a little bit
Right.
misleading. So what is your message?
I mean, that's a really excellent question. I kind of lived through it, and there are different ways to answer it. I think, just tactically, I think you have to think about it, right? Because companies have intellectual property. In our
Hmm.
case,
On
it
top
was
of
very
that, in your case, it's
customer.
more difficult,
Yeah,
right?
right. And investment firms, the customer base, that's the most important asset, obviously,
Hmm.
right? And particularly if you're talking about high dollar people. So I mean, I think if you are actually managing money, if you're in a hedge fund situation, for example, that's it's going to be a little more
Situation that you
difficult
have been,
to.
right?
Yeah, I mean,
You have
so
been in the
I mean,
past in this kind of, yeah.
right, right. I mean, the business, but in our business, when we broke out, and started our own thing, we had to basically kind of build our customer list from, kind of from scratch.
Hmm.
Because again, we couldn't use mailing lists or materials that we had
Why you guys
accumulated
took that
as part of other.
decision? Why you guys took that decision?
Why did we take? So I mean, that's another good, that's a good part of that question, because obviously, you're, and I can say, I mean, I did make more money when I was working for somebody else, but
Hmm.
there are
Hmm.
other, there's
Roy, my
I
question
I
is
would answer
because it
that.
sound it sound like from your side you're an entrepreneur and everybody listening for corporate say, "Wow, look this guy! They can fill their own calendar. They have people working for them, so they only see the outcome when
Right.
someone like you that can tell the story, right? We never hear the story of those ones
Yeah.
that fail. And tell us more. Tell us more.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to discourage anybody from
Absolutely, no, no,
following their
no. We don't
dream,
we don't do
for
this
sure.
here.
I
Uh,
well, I think I do think my quality of life improved a lot. I'll say, for working for myself,
mm-hmm,
because my time was more my own.
mm-hmm,
And I think that's very important. I have children, and I was able at key part
mm-hmm,
in their life to kind of be around. I mean, I was
mm-hmm,
working.
mm-hmm,
I
mm-hmm.
certainly, I think I've worked just as hard, maybe harder,
Absolutely. Yeah.
but you,
At
but
least
it
at the beginning, right?
right. But there's, yeah, I would say your psychic rewards are great. If you have good partners, it's a different environment entirely than working in an environment where, and I would say the environment I worked in before, it was very competitive. So I was more
Wow.
competing with the
Oh,
people
wow.
that I'm partnered with. I'm now partnered with them.
Oh,
So we have kind of a
wow.
common thing. But in the past, we were competing with each other for resources and so on. I mean, this was a business that had advisories, and each advisory needed to be nurtured. It needed investment in marketing and so on. And that so we were definitely pitted against each other. So I really like the way things are now, because now we're collaborating. We're
Mm-hmm.
obviously competing against the world, I guess, or everybody else out there. But there are also, you can have more cooperative relationships, that kind of thing. I think it helps. Being on podcasts, for example, getting yourself out there. But
Tell us,
I like that better. So
yeah.
I'd say, yeah, definitely like the psychic rewards. I think, working for yourself,
Right, what do
no
you
one's going to
feel?
fire you.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
what do you feel when you realize that, hold on a minute, because when you are in corporate, you can tell easily to other people. When they tell Roy, I want you to do that, you can tell them, look, this is not my job, right? This is not my job
Yeah.
description. You need to ask somebody else. So, what happened when you have your own business and you realize that everything was your job? You're
Yeah,
basically
yeah,
responsible for everything. You don't have no one to tell. Well, I'm sorry, this is no.
right. Well, you can sleep in.
What do you feel? What was your what do you feel when you say,
well,
"Oh my God"?
yeah. I mean, I don't think I didn't realize, what the challenge is fully. I mean, I how could I, right? I never had the
You
experience.
don't even have
I did.
time. You don't even have time to complain, right? Or to
Right. No, you don't. There's no one to complain to, right?
exactly.
But I think, yeah, you feel insecurity. I mean,
Mhm.
you look at your sales.
It's a little bit lonely,
Yeah.
despite that. Well, you do have partner, but it's a being an entrepreneur itself. And we from this podcast, we want all entrepreneurs to be wealthy, happy, and healthy. But we already interviewed with 500 millionaires, right?
Mhm.
And I like to conduct the interviews with people like you, right? That have the feet on the ground, right? That they are entrepreneurs that have done the hard work, and of course, uh, you do have success, right? And a lot of people ask me, for example, Roger, yeah, if I ask you, Roger, is it easy to make money for you? You will tell me, of course, Harry, I just make a couple of phone calls, I buy this stock, and I make money easy. Yeah, you can make money easy now, but nobody knows how many years of experience you have with your
Yeah, that's true.
company.
Yeah, I think, another one
So
of
it's
those
easy
steps.
now, but
Yeah.
there is for our listeners, it's gonna be a time in your life when you develop the skill, when you have enough experience, that the answer is yes. It's easy to make money. However, you need to go through the process, and this process is intense, and there is no shortcut, in my opinion. The hard work and the
Right.
so tell us the good, the bad, and the ugly.
You're absolutely right. And I do think, just in terms of like when I went into this, a couple things that I wish I'd probably done a little bit more of. Of course, you always wish you put aside, more money,
Absolutely.
when this happens, and so you don't, because you don't really want to, live off the business you're trying to build, at least until it can support you. So you need to make sure that. I also think that, keeping in good health. I mean, you mentioned, you
Mhm,
know,
mhm,
entrepreneurs being healthy and wealthy and
mhm, mhm.
wise, right? I mean, health is really important, and there's going to be a tendency to work. You're going to want to work
Or
all the time, but it's really good to have something that you really just go at,
mental health.
physically, and then that takes your mind off what you're doing, but it also just gives you more energy,
Mhm,
and I really think that's important for people. I mean,
mhm.
we do rowing, we do competitive rowing,
Oh, wow,
so
that's
it's
amazing.
and so which is great is actually when you get older because it doesn't like
Mhm.
tear up your
You're not
joints and
gonna believe, but
everything.
I just finished to play tennis to this podcast. I finished my game of playing tennis, and I agree 100% with you. We have to
Yeah,
take
yeah.
care of our mental health. Let's dig now that you touched base in this.
Okay.
I want to touch in two things. Okay, let's explore this one first, Roy, which is when you started your first business, your business, right? We are entrepreneurs. Nobody knows this, but because we are a small percentage of the population, but we need to deal with more pressure than everybody else out there. We are responsible for the employees. We're responsible for the people. We are
Right.
responsible for our clients. We're responsible for bring food for our own family. And when we make mistakes, we pay with our own pocket, right? It's not like I'm sorry I made a mistake. Every
Sure.
mistake we make is food, other things that you taking away kind of your family. So the process is a little bit intense, okay? And sometimes not emotional pain can translate in physical pain. And we have seen entrepreneurs story, they have cancer, they have heart attack,
Right.
they make a bad business decision, especially in the investment, and they jump out of the bridge, crazy things like this. So when do you realize that um, exactly what you described? Hold on a minute. I had to look after myself. I had to take care of myself. No, especially now, getting older. Like I've been in business for 18 years. I remember when I was young, I used to go to the office and I said to my team, I work 12 hours without stopping, and I was the hero, right? Yeah, today if today
Yeah.
somebody come Roy to tell me, Harry, you have to have a project, you can make millions, but listen, you have to work 12 hours in a row for 6 months. I will tell the person, thank you, thanks, but no thanks. Don't worry, I prefer my freedom. I prefer play my tennis. I prefer my space. I prefer look after my mental health, because still I'm in business. You're in business. We are in business. That pressure never goes away. So when do you realize, Roy, that you say that? And sometimes we think, okay, we work, 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 work. But I remember in my life, it was a time that I'm thinking, well, if I do exercise, if I go to the park, I need to do this stuff. But actually, I was not producing that much. It was
Right.
just, I was just trapped there. So when do you realize that you do have to work on yourself, and personal development is a big part of the mindset of the entrepreneur? Anything happened to you? Any setback?
I mean, I agree with that. I can tell you, I mean, that kind of thing happened to me more when actually I was working for somebody else.
Ah,
I was,
wow.
yeah, yeah,
Because it's so
yeah,
much pressure, right?
yeah. And there are things I would do. So I used to
Wow, Roy,
ride.
you
I
feel
used to
more
ride.
stress and more pressure working for somebody else than actually working for yourself. Wow, never hit that
Well,
one.
I mean, in different ways, right? But
Different
I mean,
ways,
yeah,
right?
there was yeah, it was, I had a very high, kind of a high pressure thing. I did a lot.
Because KPI, and they were expecting for you a big results, right?
Yeah, 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 absolutely. I'll just tell you something that happened to me. I used to bike. I would bike back and forth to
It's
work, and
very good.
fairly good. It was very good, unless you
You see
start.
green, your mind
Yeah, you get
calm
a.
down. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Unless you like have a commuting mindset, right? And you say,
Mm-hmm.
I got to get home by 5 minutes or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, because then you're going to
Mm-hmm.
take some chances, right? So I got hit by a vehicle. I was actually in the right, and
Wow.
I was going across a walk sign thing, and I had the light, I had the walk, but somebody was in the right turn lane, and all they were doing was looking upstream for cars, and then
Mm-hmm.
they turned right into me. So I would, yes, I think it what just your question. I mean, I think it's really important to stop every now and then and just do something else,
Mm-hmm.
whatever that might be. I mean, if you play a sport hard, that's going to be something that's going to take your mind off what you're doing. But yeah, it's very important. I mean, there are all sorts of little tricks, right? I mean, if you're looking at a screen like for a very long
Mm-hmm.
time, just get up and go, go look some
Right, it
out in
could
the
happen that
distance.
maybe you was riding the bicycle, but maybe thinking in your business, thinking on other things, and probably
Oh
you have
yeah,
that impact.
absolutely. I was thinking about everything else, but
Mm.
where I was. So that's kind
So
of
what's the
important,
lesson? What's the
Yeah,
lesson?
yeah. I think
What
the
lesson
lesson
to be
is
learned?
be present. Where
There you
you
go.
are.
There
I
you
think
go.
that's really important too. I mean, also, like you can sit there, you can be there with other people. It could be a business thing.
Mm-hmm.
It could be
Mm-hmm.
a thing, a
Yeah,
family thing or
it's your
whatever.
medicine. It's your,
Yeah,
we can call it therapy. For us, it's very difficult to add
yeah,
therapy because only entrepreneurs understand other entrepreneurs, right? But when you're
yeah,
rowing, when you are riding this bicycle, right? Unfortunately,
yeah,
I know that is hard. I know it's very difficult.
yeah,
We have to let it go. Whatever happened in the business, whatever is
yeah. We
happening,
do,
and we have to be
and
present because this is like our medicine. It's like it's for the mental health. Like for example, now I'm playing tennis, right?
yeah,
And I came here to do the interview, but it was something that was scheduled, right? So I knew that I have the time, right? And
yeah,
in mind that I was playing with my friend, and the game was really tight, okay?
yeah,
And my friend told me, "Oh, let's continue to see who wins." And I said, "I can't." Because I had to leave the court at 5 o'clock because I have a broadcast within 1 hour with Roy, and I had to be
Oh,
present
thank you.
for him. I had to be present for him, and I get it that the but when we have the time of the game, right?
Yeah,
I was focused in the time of the game, but I knew
yeah,
that the
yeah,
game is at 5. But between the 3 hours that I play, I was focused on this because it's like kind of a therapy. You see green, you see that, right? The
Right.
problem is like when we cannot switch off, and it's difficult. It's we have
Yeah.
to train ourselves because otherwise, Roy, we don't rest, right?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah. Yeah. I
you,
mean,
especially the type of job you do, the
yeah.
type of if you make a mistake, sometimes it should be a lot of serious, or you
Well,
lead
that's
your
true.
team. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
The
when
market,
you are
something's always
working, when
happening.
you're in your business, you have
Yeah.
to be 100% present because I'm aware that um, some tiny you forget a tiny thing and or you miss something, an indicator or something, or you read without being present. Again, let's come back to the same thing.
Yeah.
Whatever we do, we have to be present 100%. Yeah. And especially in your spaces, you have to be double present. Yeah. There is very little room for mistakes because it's expensive, the mistake. So the other question I have for you, Roy, is the
Okay.
following because you take out the boxes. Okay. The fact that people are good entrepreneurs, that doesn't mean that they're good investors. They're completely different things. And some people have the ability to open a business and to make money. One thing is to make money completely different, but again, is keeping the money, right?
Right.
Uh, to keep the money, you have to become a good investor. We have nothing to do with make money. Well, if you're a good investor, you make money and then you can keep it. Okay, so
Yeah.
exactly like you do. But there is so what message do you have for entrepreneurs from this podcast? I always sharing this from my view, right? Like if you we have entrepreneurs, they're making some money, they're reinvesting on the business, making more money, reinvest on the business, making more money, reinvest on the business, and then after 6, 5 years, they have a big business. COVID happened, something happened, and they go to zero in 2 months and not understand what happens. Whether I think that an approach for entrepreneurs for our listening could be okay. Learn parallel when you are an entrepreneur. Parallel learn how to invest. At least I don't know. Take something easy. Buy a property, for example, and then
Mhm.
you pay the mortgage. You have something extra. You can use this money for marketing for your business. And you know what happened if something happened to your business out of your control. At least you have a cash flow, or you can diversify in stocks, in utilities, like what you guys do. So it's completely different. Like I have entrepreneurs that have been in this podcast. We interview 500 millionaires that they exit the company and now they are with few millions. Now they
Mhm.
don't know what to do. And then the
Right.
interesting thing is that at this moment, it comes your friend with that real estate project that is gonna change your life, that have a return, or with
Sure.
that stock that definitely will change your life. That the return is, and because you don't know how to invest, you are no investor, you're a good entrepreneur, then you put a lot of money there and disappear. Yeah. The other thing we have experienced, people, entrepreneurs have shared in this podcast that they make the money and they say, okay, I'm going to give it to a financial advisor.
Hmm.
And sometime after 3, 6 months, they realize that a lot of zeros are missing in the account because they describe here that the financial advisor, is not done aligned because they make the money making fees. And if the account grows or no, it's no, of course, this is a particular case. We are not generalizing because I think
Hmm.
that everybody should do the opposite. Hire mentors and an advisor like you, someone that have experience and can guide them. Yeah. So, but because you're in a space, Roger, tell us what uh, what can you recommend entrepreneurs in order to start the path to become like you, to become a good investor, to learn how to
Well,
invest. So
well,
they can keep the
you,
money because it's sad.
yeah,
Remember, we want them to be wealthy, healthy, and happy. In order to
right.
be wealthy, they have to do two things: making the money, but also keeping it.
Yeah. And the
They
money
are not
should
gonna be
be,
wealthy, yeah. They need
yeah,
to
the
put
money
the
should
money
be
to work
working
for
for
them.
you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you
So.
make so many good points there, that, and if somebody's really focused on one thing, it's hard to do two things. But I think a couple things. First off, I do think everybody can learn how to invest
Mm-hmm.
prudently and within their own temperament. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to lose money in the markets. There's a lot, but there are a lot of different ways to make money too. So some people are going to be, trading and in and out of one thing or stock or another, but other people, are best off if they just kind of think about stocks as businesses they can invest in. So you're building your own business. You've got a pretty good idea of what it takes to build a business in your industry, but there are also certain kind of universal things as well. But if you conceive of like a stock, I mean, the first stock I ever bought was Texaco. So,
Wow.
big oil stock. I mean, a long time ago. So I bought what's called a dividend reinvestment plan.
Mhm.
Okay, I bought it with the company,
I
and
love
basically
those stocks that pay dividend. I'm a big fan of those one, Roy.
yeah, yeah. So
Do you
how
guys
they
work with
work,
this kind
right?
of stocks still?
Yeah, yeah. I
They're
still own some
amazing,
of that.
right?
I get more. I make more in dividends every year than I originally invested in that stock, and
Wow.
I mean it's a long period of time, right? To between I said I bought that stock back in the 80s, but and now it's Chevron, right? So things have changed, but it's the kind of company that appealed to me at that time because I didn't see any scenario where we wouldn't be using oil and gas
Mhm.
as the older I got, and that's I think that's pretty much been proven out. There are other types of companies like that, utilities and that kind of thing. But I guess the larger point is I kind of view stocks and the stock market. When I buy a stock, I'm looking at the underlying business, and I'm asking the question
Mhm.
is,
Mhm.
how healthy is it? How resilient is it in different
Mhm.
environments? And
Mhm.
is it growing? Is there a plan where I can see this thing, growing over time and building, and becoming more valuable? And that's what ultimately drives the stock higher. I think that's
Mhm.
a strategy that you can use if you're very much focused on, building your own business, your own career. I think anybody can do it. I do think if you have a good friend or somebody you've
Mhm.
grown up with, that's the best thing. If they're successful managing money for others and
Mhm.
they manage money for you, that's a good thing. If you know somebody else who is a successful entrepreneur in a certain area, like
Mhm.
say somebody that has redeveloped a lot of apartments, or
Mhm.
is somebody that I know owns self storage units, or
Mhm.
some sort of business that is kind of a incrementally growth sort of thing, and you can buy say a partnership unit
Mhm.
in it. So those
Roy,
are things
I
that
have to ask you this because I'm dying to ask you. I'm a
yeah,
cash flow guy. I'm a cash
yeah,
flow guy. My business is in property. When I started, we managed to sell over 5 million. It was a very good cash flow business, right? And
mhm,
I'm always when I'm investing in a property, right? I'm always looking more what cash flow that property can give us
right,
rather than capital growth, right? For me, some investors prefer capital growth. Oh, if you buy this stock cheap and it's gonna go to the roof and you're gonna make a lot of money. Um, Whether another investors they want 50-50, then you have hybrid type of investor which is more interested in the cash flow because we need cash every month, right? You need to buy the
right,
food, to buy the school, to so if we have something, an asset that can produce as cash flow, it's like having the job. It's like literally what you described. The
yeah,
money goes out and work for you. And well, maybe if you have, I don't know, a portfolio of stocks that can give you, I don't know, 10, 20,000 cash flow a month, well, you can have a very decent lifestyle, right? I don't know
right,
if you're not into yachts or private jets, I think you can pretty much have
yeah,
be okay with that type of
yeah,
cash
yeah.
flow. So, what is your opinion, and is it or what type of investor are you out of the three that I described? And can you tell us if there are stocks that again, for example, when we see a property, we don't worry that much in how much value can increase. If increase value, better, but we focus on the cash flow. Can you do this model also in the stock market? Like there are some stocks there that they don't have a big future in capital growth, but they have a substantial, stable dividend payment that can, or how this work.
Yeah, absolutely. You can definitely do that. I think
You need to know what you're doing.
yeah, well, the most effective
I don't
way
have
is
any
if
clue.
you,
I don't have any clue. Eh?
well,
Tell us,
if
tell us,
you
show
think
us.
about If you think about companies that and stock, if you think about it, okay, a stock, think about the company behind it as a business.
Hmm.
And, if that business is growing and it's paying a big dividend, or, a decent sized dividend, that's exactly the kind of thing that you and I would be interested in because over time that business will grow, it will become more valuable, but they'll increase the dividend. So we're getting kind of both the best of both worlds. I really think,
Right,
you
but
have to look for that.
require a lot of experience in order
Well, yeah,
to do what you describe. I get it
fair.
that you guys learn from first from your corporate job and then you have, but for those ones that are starting out, you see, I don't think that, especially in entrepreneur, we have the still the education to assess the valuation of this type of company that actually they are not familiar with. They're familiar with a small company. So what would be the first step? For example, if they want to know more about you, they're in love with the conversation, how people can find you, how this process works. Can you share this and is entrepreneurs, right? We from this podcast, like again, we wanted to be wealthy, healthy, and happy. And the part of being wealthy, especially for our listeners, we are not worried so much if they can make the first million. We already interviewed 500 million as giving the 5 steps how to make a million. So I'm not that worried that much in the ability for our listeners to make money and to get product market fit. I'm concerned in the second part of the story, keeping the money, that they go
Right.
to the second phase, like they do that transition healthier, in keeping the money part, in investing in the right vehicles and being able to do the due diligence or find mentors and partners or some information that little by little they can learn. So what tell us a little bit more how people can find you, how this process work. What do you advise to entrepreneurs starting out? I think the moment is now. If you, because I remember when I start my business, right? I was growing the business, yeah. Since God was in property, and you are surrounded
Mhm.
with investors, the property owners, they are investors, and you start to, oh wow, you think that you're making money, they're making more than you, and then you start, what this guy's doing, you know what I mean? And then you surround yourself and learn a little bit. But so, what message do you have for the new generations of entrepreneurs in order to keep in the money, not
Well,
making it? We pass
you
that.
know, just start looking at things. I mean, you say like people aren't familiar with companies, but you buy things from companies all the time. You got
Mm-hmm.
a utility company,
Mm-hmm.
wherever you live, right?
Mm-hmm.
You've got, you go fill your car up with gasoline, or maybe you have an electric car, and maybe you buy a Tesla or some company involved in that industry. But I teach uh, a merit badge class. I teach like kids and whatnot about various things
Wow.
about investing. So one of the things we did for the scouts was actually just like have them pick 5 stocks and then
Wow.
follow them over a period of time and just see where they go.
Wow.
Right. So I
Wow,
mean, you
that's
can start out
fantastic.
that really simple like that.
We
I
need more
I
than that
would
in the school, Roger, because
yeah,
they don't teach the kids
they
any of this,
they
right?
don't they don't, and that's
That's
financial literacy.
fantastic
I
that you
think
guys
is
have done. Yeah, financial. Why do
pretty
you think
huge.
they don't teach financial literacy?
I mean, everybody's got their own theory. I think for one thing, maybe the people just believe it's so complicated. But there is that, and there, a big Wall Street firms, they're trying to get you to buy their products, right? And so that's what a lot of people do. That's what it's all about. So,
Yeah.
and uh, and some of those are fine, right? And you can buy, a target fund, for example, that says it's going to shift your money from stocks to bonds and whatnot, and your results are going to be pretty universally mediocre. You're not going to, and you may lose a lot actually because the formula. We had interest rates
And
went
then
up a
explaining
lot.
Roy is so they explain Roy is so complicated that
Yeah,
they make it those terms so complicated to make sure you don't understand
yeah,
where
and
your
so
money
I
is going, where is it
and,
going. The
and
more
I do think
sophisticated words they create, they created
right.
the more attractive the product sounds, and you don't really know. And unfortunately, you do need the skills to assess the value or if there is something there or not.
Well, I'll
Um,
give you something that they can do. I mean, you
tell
can
us,
that
tell
people
us.
can do. You can, check out my Substack. And
Where?
I don't know if you heard that, Substack.com. And it's
Okay.
just called it's just called Dividends Roundtable. And my name Roger Conrad. You can search it that way too. So check that. That's actually a free thing. So you can go
So, Roy, what
there.
is it? What is it? We go to your website. Can you repeat the website again?
Okay, it's Substack.com is
Okay.
it's a big forum. There's a lot of other people on there besides me, but I have a thing called, again, it's called Dividends Roundtable, like the Knights of the Round Table, Dividends Roundtable, and then you can also go there and you can search under my name, Roger Conrad. And I write a lot about what we've been talking about here.
I
I have
love a lot about this dividend around table. Tell us a little bit more. What is it? People can learn how to get dividends when they invest, or what? What
Yeah,
can?
absolutely.
Ah,
I
well,
cover a lot of
amazing.
different things. I also have if someone really likes what I do, on the free product, I'll also have, a portfolio of stocks, and another
Wow.
paid service. So
Oh,
obviously I'm selling things too, but
yeah.
it is information, and I do, when
So it
I
can become
recommend
part of
things.
your community, and they can learn also. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
So, Roy, energy and utilities. Good thing is that they pay dividends, right? And I hear also that I hear that oil and whatever they also have tax benefits. Is it true?
That is true.
Is the whole
And
energy thing or only the oil?
Yeah, the oil and gas have have these structures, and they're actually things called master limited partnerships. And most of the
Wow.
dividends you get there are actually
Tax free?
there's no tax on them.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow. You just need to learn
until
how
you
to
sell.
structure, eh?
Yeah, yeah. So it's they are pretty high. I mean, some of these companies pay 7, 8, 9%, annualized yields.
Mm.
So
Oh, wow.
yeah,
That sounds good to me.
it does sound good to me too. Yeah, I mean, so their main things they own are pipelines, things like that, where an oil company will pay to use that, pump
Mm.
its oil through a pipeline, and so it's a really steady kind of business. It's a
But do you have
business
to
that
be a
is
millionaire to start to? Do you
no
have
you
millions, or anybody
you
with the small funds can be part of this? And like this,
it,
they can learn how.
literally anybody. You know how now, back in the old days you had to buy 100 shares of a stock, round lots. Now, of course, you can buy any increment of
Wow.
stock. You can go, open an account at Schwab. You can open an account at like Robinhood,
Mm-hmm.
wherever. But you can buy very small amounts of a lot of these things. 4 or 5 shares even, and a lot of these. So for $1,000 or less, you could establish a position in an MLP that it's paying you 9%. Now you're going to do better if you invest more and you have a larger portfolio and you mix it up.
Mm-hmm.
But that's
Mm-hmm.
nowadays there's really no barrier to entry for people buying individual
Mm-hmm.
stocks. There are just
How
so
about
many ways you can do that.
mitigating your risk, Roger? Right? Having a lot of people said don't put all your eggs in one basket. Within the energy
Yes.
sector, which is what you guys specialize, as far as I hear, um, do you guys within the energy do you have a portfolio that I don't know, some part of in electric, another one solar wind, another one the oil, and so you diversify within this, or outside the
Yes.
energy you have another another shares, another stocks that they are not necessarily in energy, but you guys believe that is a good company, and that's the way that you mitigate the risk. So what
Right.
message do you have for our new for our entrepreneurs that want to learn how to become good investors in order to mitigate the risk and to do due diligence and to what are the good practices starting on as an
Okay.
investor?
Good practices. One, don't be in a hurry. if you have a bunch of money and you want to invest it, don't worry about like getting it all in at the time. I mean, the market's going to go up, it's going to go down, but if you are, patient and deliberately pick your investments, I think you're going to do, far better. Watch the prices, don't buy stuff that's gone up a whole lot. It's at one time or just recently. A lot of people
Because
chase
always
momentum.
equilibrate, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, people chase momentum, and sometimes that works, right? But if you're just starting out, you're more than likely you're going to be, buying at the top, and or that you run a much bigger risk of that. You want to diversify, so you have and balance. So, you know, build a list of companies that you want to own over time, and gradually kind of build positions in them. And I think that's how you go about it, and be ready to make mistakes. It's just like starting your business, right? We talked about it at
Exactly.
the
You're learning
outset.
by doing. So,
You
Roy, if
got
I
to be
give you,
willing,
yeah,
right?
if I
Yeah,
give you
yeah.
$100, okay, out of this
Uh-huh.
$100, how much would you put in capital growth stock, and how much money would you put in cash flow or dividend, and how much money would you put in the mix of both? I'm giving you $100. You
Well,
can tell me,
you,
Harry, I'm gonna take $5 and I'm gonna put in cash flow, and I'm gonna take 95
yeah.
and I'm gonna put in capital growth. So if I'm giving you, so like this, the entrepreneur listening can hear from
Yeah.
someone expert in the area. If they have some funds, how can they diversify, and what the in terms of distribution of funds if you're starting out. So I'm giving you $100. What you do?
Okay. Well, I mean, based on what you just told me about yourself and what I know about myself as well, I mean, I like the cash flow. But again, I'm going to probably go out there, use your $100 and buy a stock in a company that is pays a dividend, and it's also, I think, is going to grow over
Mhm.
time. So,
But you take only this $100 and buy one company, or would you take maybe 20, 20, 20 and put in five? The $100 is just a metaphor. It's
well,
just for
okay, it's a metaphor, right? Yeah,
yeah, it's
so
metaphor. In
honestly, I
terms of
think
distribution
2020,
of funds,
yeah, 20 or even,
10, 10, 10.
$10,
Ah,
ten
wow, I'm
dollars
learning
in 10
something. Ah,
stocks.
wow. So if I give you
Yeah,
$100, you
which could
take
be
ten
hard to,
dollars. You
yeah.
take $10.
Yeah, I
Oh,
mean,
wow.
you're be doing things like buying fractional shares of
Mhm,
stocks and
mhm.
so on. But yes, the
So as a
metaphor
good practice
holds.
is you to
Yeah,
mitigate the risk, you should
yeah.
if you have fund, maybe invest in 10 different stocks. Okay,
Get 10
that's I love it.
stocks.
I love it. Yeah, these
Yeah,
10 stocks, Ryan, which ones are you have 10 already? Okay, so which ones are
yeah.
capital growth, which one are cash flow, which one are 50-50?
Well, I'm gonna
You got
say
10, you already told me 10 companies, right?
yeah,
$10
I'm gonna want
each.
them all to pay a dividend of some
Ah,
sort,
wow.
just because
Starting,
that's what I
oh,
want.
amazing.
But
Oh, wow.
I'm not gonna worry about like how high the
Wow, I'm
dividend
rooting
is.
for
Just
you,
100%.
big time.
Okay.
Yeah, I will do the
I'm,
same. Yeah.
I think there,
Eh, oh,
you can
wow,
with
amazing.
very little risk, you can buy, 10 stocks that yield
Mhm.
between 4 or 5%. In that area, you can take on
Wow.
a little more risk, and some of the ones that,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
some of those, buy an MLP or something that yields more than that. Maybe you buy something else like a big pharma company that pays a little less than that. So you average out till you get around that yield. I think is very reasonable for people to do at this point.
Oh,
So I
wow,
mean,
you will go
it doesn't
all of
sound like a
them
lot,
cash
but
flow. Wow, that's amazing.
yeah, 5%. But if you had, say you had $1 million and you eventually built these positions and you were making 5%, I mean that's, good 50,000 a year or whatever, and you can go a little higher. You can go higher than that. I mean, we try to give our people an edge, right? And find the things maybe that are yielding 6 or 7% that, don't have the risk. But that's like a kind of a baseline. But I also think that a company that's paying that much should be able to grow. It should be growing. So you should be able to count on not just the 5%, but say a 5% dividend increase every year. So that the more and more you go, and the better you do. And now I can't hear you, but yeah.
Okay, let me see.
Okay, I got it.
Uh,
Yes.
so then it's amazing because you make cash flow and then you make capital growth also, right?
I don't think you get one without the other
Ah,
very long.
wow. Ah, wow.
I,
If you
I,
if
I
you
really
pick the
believe
right
that.
if you pick the right thing, yeah.
Yeah,
If
I
you
mean
pick the right stock.
there are what, like 10,000
Mm,
stocks of size, and that's a lot of choice. So
mhm,
you can be very picky. As you do this, I think you also want to have the attitude of you're not marrying these stocks.
mhm,
They need to work for you. They need to be your money needs to
mhm,
be working for you,
mhm,
um, and not the other way around, right? So
mhm,
if something doesn't work out, and not so much the performance of the stock over, say, a 3 or 6 month period, but
mhm,
the company itself, it's not growing, it's not raising its dividend, get rid of it, get something else.
mhm,
And there are so many. If you're building a portfolio of 10 stocks, you have so many choices that you can
mhm,
afford to be extremely choosy, and take your time doing it and learn
mhm,
as you're doing it. I mean, there's a story, kind of a story. There's a, say there's a guy that, reaches age 65, so doesn't want to do any work, but has to manage their investments. Okay. So there are two people that do that. And one person has their whole life just put it into some sort of fund and hasn't done anything with it, and the other person has been doing that and making mistakes. But let's say they both wind up with about the same amount of money at that time. Who do you think's better off? It's the
mhm.
person that's been putting the time in and it's
Absolutely.
actually kind of learned
Got
from
the
their
skill.
mistakes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And so
Absolutely.
the person that comes to that point with all that money and has no clue about how,
How this happen? Yeah.
what makes a stock go up or down, right?
Mhm,
They're not going to
mhm.
have any choice but to just let somebody else do that, or else
Absolutely.
they're going to take a
Manage
lot,
them.
and they're going to take risks by doing that, right? You're going to
Mhm,
count on somebody else other than yourself.
mhm.
And as you know, like with a business, it's all about, counting on yourself. You're going to get the best results from yourself, right?
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
why you do a business.
Mm.
And that's why you invest, right? You're going to get results, and not everybody's got the same. Not everybody's like us that loves the cash flow. Some people are going to be,
Yeah.
I don't need the cash, I just want the most appreciation, and you can
Mhm.
do that. That you
Absolutely.
can do that with the same,
Mhm,
but you have to put in the time and think about, like, that underlying business of that company. Is it growing? Is
mhm,
the money going to work for you, or is it
mhm.
this just a big hype situation? And because that's a lot of the stock market too, right?
Mhm,
There are so many companies that basically don't have any earnings but are really popular
mhm.
right now. So,
Wow.
you know,
Huh.
people have made money in them, but if those companies don't start making money themselves, right, those
It's gonna
stocks
be
are
a
gonna,
problem, yeah.
yeah, it could be a problem. Could be very likely. Yeah.
Roy, thank you so much for the master class. I really appreciate
Thank you so much.
your
Thanks for having me.
that you share your experience with our audience. Yeah, I really
My pleasure.
really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And for all of you following the podcast, if you can listen this one twice, because if you can really uh, absorb and understand what Roy is sharing here, you're gonna be in your path to something amazing, which is not only making the money
Thank you.
but be able to keep it. And the good thing about keeping the money is that you have peace in your life. If you want to go a month on holiday, you go. You work because you want to, not because you have to. And your whole lifestyle, you see, I'm a big fan of this, Roger. Like, I always call it millionaire lifestyle, right? Whether
Mhm.
exactly you can go and play tennis, and my phone is always in silent, right?
Yeah.
And I've been this like 18 years. The other day I got a business deal, and the guy told me, "Well, I always pick up the phone. You call me anytime." I said, "Well, good that you are like that. I don't work like this. You want to talk to me, you need to message me, and then I'll tell you.
Right.
You book in a calendar, and then we talk as much as we can. But then you calling me and I'm picking up the phone, forget it. It doesn't, he hasn't been there for 18 years, so be able to to make your own rules, how you want to live your life, how you want the people that you want to surround yourself. You clearly love what you do, and you surround yourself with the community, with your partners, and you're helping people out there. So it's a very good thing to, in my opinion, for entrepreneurs to start the journey, to start the path to educate themselves, because what I think is not fair and unfortunately happened is that you know how hard it is to build the business and to make it happen and to actually make
Yeah.
money. And the sad thing about this is that sometimes after the entrepreneurs were really, really hard for this money, they exit the company, they whatever, because they don't have the knowledge of the second part, how to invest it. They suffer, they lose money a lot, and guess what happened after they lost the money? They start to learn how to invest. That's unfortunately that's a story that
Yeah.
entrepreneurs, multimillionaires have checked here in this same podcast that we're talking about. So I think that you have a voice of raising awareness and years and years of experience and knowledge. So I'm grateful that you came. I'm grateful that you share what you do with our audience. And I'm your biggest fan. I'm rooting for you. I'm the biggest fan. Everybody that come
Thank you.
and talks about investment. I'm talking about cash flow. Woo! I'm rooting for you big time
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I know it's a good
It
thing.
works.
I know it's a good thing for the people out there, and it's pragmatic, and people actually will eventually will have money every month, which is amazing, right? Okay,
Yeah.
Roy, thank you so much. And for all of you
Oh,
following the podcast, here in our next episode of Unstoppable, how brave entrepreneurs like Roger break the wall and achieve the first million. Bye for now.
thank you so much. Yes.
Later.
Enjoy.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.